Hi everyone, this is Gloria Helmbrecht with StampWithGloria.com. Evidently, I've had some technical issues here. I am hoping this time around we won't have these issues, that you can hear me. I'm hoping my friend, somebody, anybody will go on and make sure that you can hear me live. My mic looks like it's working. Um, I couldn't tell you what happened when I just did this an hour ago. So I am going to get started. Oh, I had kind of a bad view to start with. I thought I had it all set up. It's not as pretty. Here, let me tear that sheet off there. Okay, here we go. Memorial Day weekend. I'm sure everybody is excited. Hopefully they're out of COVID. They're going to go out and actually see some people while practicing social distance, which is what everybody is hoping that everyone else will do. I see that my friend can hear me, so I'm going to go through everything I did before and hope you enjoy it the second time around just as much with sound. So this is pretty cool, right? I wanted to get started. The Poppy's Parade set that we have in the Occasions catalog. I'm kind of a history buff, and I like to find out why. A lot of times when I'm stamping, I'm looking at images and I'm like, why did they do this? So then I go and look at trendy colors and I find out. Or, do these things belong together? Like I think we have a garden set where there's an avocado in it and they grow on a tree. So, I wonder about these things. Things make me wonder. So I was wondering why we have the veterans sell the poppies every year for Memorial Day. And I wanted to know about that program and how it got started. So I started doing some research and I found out that actually there was a battle. There was, well, of course, there's always a battle, right? But there was a lieutenant colonel. His name was John McCrae. I actually have a picture of him right here. Here's John McCrae. He was a Canadian. And he served as a brigade surgeon for an Allied artillery unit. The second time around is getting me a little flustered. And he spotted a cluster of poppies that spring shortly after the second battle of Ypres. That's how you pronounce that name. And he tended to the wounded and he got a first-hand look at the carnage of that clash. And this is the first time that the Germans unleashed lethal chlorine gas for the first time in the war. And 87 Allied troops were killed during that time. So he was so struck by the bright red blooms on the broken ground with the dead that he channeled it into a poem called In Flanders Field. And this became a very famous poem that was used at every veteran thing that you could imagine, and it became very famous. He died in 1912, but the poem lives on, and you'll just have to look it up, In Flanders Fields, and that's how the poppy kind of became associated with our dead military. And then the crepe poppy that we buy, outside the store, the veterans will sit outside the stores. Um, that was started actually by a French woman, and her name was Anna Guerin, and she brought them to England, and then the British Royal Legion ordered 9 million of those poppies at that time, and this was in 1921, and they used all that money to help wounded soldiers from World War One to get new jobs and housing in their country. And then the U.S. adopted the Poppy program, and so their main objective, the veterans' main objective, was to connect a visual image with the poppy about the sacrifice of the service made by our veterans And it's been an important goal of the American Legion to continue with this poppy program, and it's distributed the money made from these poppies, $1 or $2, whatever you give for these poppies. This money is distributed across the country, and it helps disabled and hospitalized veterans in our community. So a very, very important program for the veterans. And unfortunately, like I said, I didn't see the poppies out this year. Anybody out there? Anybody out there see our poppy guys out there this year? I hope that COVID didn't keep them in, because this is a very important program. All these $1, $2, $3 add up to help our veterans. And I just hope that that wasn't shut down because of COVID. Just a short little side note, the American Legion was chartered by Congress in 1919 as a patriotic veterans organization focusing on service and servicemen and communities. And the Legion evolved from a group of war-weary veterans of World War One, and it's one of the most influential nonprofit groups in the United States. So, a little bit of history. This poppy card, I've demoed a card like this before, but basically, I emboss, or no, I stamp these poppies in memento and on watercolor paper, and then I spritz it, and then I just threw some color on with a brush and then dried it. These little splotches here are actually in the poppy set, and I embossed them in white so that you could get that kind of glossy look to it. See, I embossed them in white and then did clear on the rest of the card. And so that's how I got this poppy card. So a card that would be um, you know, really appreciated by a loved one who has survived someone who might have passed in a war. Speaking of loved ones, I do have a picture of my dad. He passed when I was 30, so 26 years ago. He was in the Navy for 12 years. And he was on the USS Sumter, which is a tank ship. So they brought the tanks in, and that ship was commissioned in 1969, I believe. And then it was, I think, decommissioned in 1991, if I've got my facts right. He was a cook on the ship, so I would call him an essential employee because he fed the troops. So he was a pretty big deal back then. At least that's what I'm going with. But here is his picture when he was younger, and my son looks a lot like him. I don't think I look too much like him. I look more like my mom, but my son looks a lot like him. So I just wanted to put him up, uh, show you that my family, I was in the Air Force, my family, a really long line of people in the military. So I'm really focused on helping the military out. So let us move forward. And I will start over again. So the first card that I'm going to show you is the Army card. And the Army card, I was looking for camouflage for a background because our Stampin' Up! Catalog currently doesn't have like a specific set for the military. So I wanted to pull from different sets so that we could get a creation of different looks for our military. Military cards are always appreciated. If you want to send them my way, I send them off to some different organizations. I will take any and all military cards and pass them on because people really appreciate these cards when they get them, especially if you put a kind note in it. Even if you don't know the person, it's like the warmest hug in the world to get a card like this. So I wanted to talk about camouflage. This is the old-fashioned camouflage. Kind of said that in the last video, which I'm going to delete because you won't be able to hear most of it. You just hear the last part when Leela came on. So I'm going to delete the video I just did, and we'll keep this one up. Hopefully I won't delete the wrong video. Who knows with me though. I didn't know that you couldn't hear me for most of the video. I can see my mic and it's bobbing up and down like it should be on the volume bar, but I don't know what happened there. Technical difficulties. So always, always got to be something with me. I mean, it can't be perfect. I mean, I would like to just have a perfect day, but that's not gonna happen with me. I blame it on the fact that my last name is Helmbrecht because I didn't pick it. Well, I picked him, but I didn't pick the name. You know what I mean? Anyway, moving on. So, this is an old fashioned way of doing camouflage, and I'll talk more about that a little bit. But this is crumb cake, the cardstock. And how did I get these little splotches on here? Well, actually, you'll laugh because I had to be a little bit. It's the snowfront scent, my meadow, and the waterfront set. All of these groovy little images in there. That's what I use to do the camouflage. So camouflage is a science unto itself. There's a lot of research done into it for the military, and they have different camouflages for the jungle and the desert, and all the different terrain that they'll be traveling in. So it really is a science unto itself. But I did look up the Army camouflage, and the colors closest to that were black, shaded spruce, uh, soft suede, and then the crumb cake. So all we're going to do is we're just going to take some of these groovy little images, and we're going to stamp them onto the cardstock. So I'm doing soft suede here. I did re-ink these pads up, but you know that they'll dry a lot later. They always do. So they'll dry a lot later. But see, then you get some of that groovy look there. And then you're going to take the shaded spruce. All right. And we'll do some groovy looks there. And this is in random. This is a card. Although I can tell a cute story. I had a friend, um, her son graduated. This is a couple years ago. Her son graduated, and I made those fleece blankies for when they move out and they just want to be cozy one night and they need something. And he's a big boy. He's like 6'2" or something like that. And I just bought some camo at the fabric store, and he wrote me a very nice thank you card. And in the thank you card, he goes, "This is like a mossy oak pattern, and I love it. Thank you so much." So, depends on who you talk to, but this is not um, a quote unquote certain kind of camo. This is just my artistic version of camo to make this card. So anyway, there you have it. So we've got that camo background, and then we didn't have any red, white, or blue ribbon. All right, so I had to make up my own red, white, and blue ribbon. And so what I did is I took some red ribbon, and I'm going to tell you right now, I if I get in trouble, I get in trouble. This is in the new catalog. It was in the holiday catalog, and now it's going over to the new catalog. And then the white crinkle seam binding that I'm going to use to put on top of this is also in the new catalog. All right, so I just used the double-sided tape. You just saw me pull it off. And then we're going to use this white crinkle tape, or I should call it ribbon, uh, and then we're going to put that right on top of the red. Okay, there we go. So now we've got red, white, and then we're going to have the blue. And the blue, I just use some glue here, and no rhyme or reason because the glue will dry. And I know there might be some OCD people watching me right now who are not able to like just smooch some glue on, but you can do it. You can do it. It'll be okay. I know that Leela will like that. It'll be okay. And then you're gonna throw the ribbon on, and because this is so tiny, I mean, you don't want to mess with glue dots or anything. You're just gonna use the white glue, and then you're gonna stick it right on and let it dry, and then you'll have your red, white, and blue ribbon. Okay, so I wanted some red, white, or blue so that we could um, put that ribbon on here, and then you would just take and twist it and put it onto your card like that. So that's how I did this card. Now I did use the silver foil paper and the stitched stars. Now I can tell you that the stitched stars, this is the stitched stars dies. The stitched stars are in the new catalog, and the reason I can tell you that is because we did get a list at the end of our holiday catalog stating that it would be in the new catalog. Right now it's current, and it was in the holiday catalog, and actually there's a set in the occasions catalog that this actually goes with. So, you know, it's a very versatile set. So just wanted to let you know that that's going to be in the new catalog. So that was our army card. Okay, I'll bring it back just so you can see how cute that is. All right, so that's like thinking out of the box with Stampin' Up accessories. Okay, this hand lettered prose, yeah, that's being discontinued. I used it on every card. I love this set because it's not too big, it's not too small. It's kind of like a casual font, so it's not so serious, but it's not too silly either. So it's a perfect die to get, and if you don't have it, you need it. You need it. So, um, we've got that card. Then we've got our next card was the Navy card. Now you saw the Navy card on um, my dad's picture. I put that on there with his stuff, but I wanted to show you the Moonlit Madness. Okay, so this blueberry bushel ribbon will be gone, but we will have the Moonlit Madness, which is our new in colors, and I really like it. And I wanted to show you our new in colors. So we've got Moonlit Madness, Cinnamon Cider, Magenta Madness, Bumblebee, and Just Jade. How beautiful are those colors? Don't you love them? They're perfect. I could use them all day. I just love them so much. Now, the Moonlit Madness blue is actually got some black in it. That's what makes that color. So it doesn't look like a lavender color or purple. When you make the blues, sometimes they kind of fluoresce a little purple. This does not. I love this color. And so I made this card with it. And I used the heart dies, the stitched heart dies, because I could have used, I went red, white, and blue. Okay, red, white, and blue, of course. I could have used the star dies and done red, white, and blue, but this is Memorial Day, okay? So we're talking about the ones we've lost and loved, okay? One of the things, I've been with a couple of veterans, and although they appreciate people thanking them for their service, not on Memorial Day, it makes them mad. I've seen them, they're not mad to the person saying, thank you for your service, because they do appreciate that. But then we'll walk away and they're like, this is Memorial Day. They're supposed to be like, celebrating the people who gave their lives to our country. And I think something gets lost in translation sometimes. So that's why I did the heart, is because it's Memorial Day and we missed those people who gave their lives to fight for our country. And we want to put that in perspective. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. Navy, Navy, Navy. Oh, I should show you this. That handwritten prose. Here it is. And we are getting adhesive paper back in the catalog. I already said that in another video. I'm going to say it again. But yeah, I love it. Okay. I love, love, love it. Now, in the other video, I did show you this card. Now, you might not think that adhesive paper is such a big deal, but I don't know about you guys, but one of the things that I hate doing is trying to put on really detailed dies um, with glue. I hate it. And one of the detailed dies that we have coming up is this sunflower die. Look at this. Yep. That's with adhesive. I stuck that on there with that adhesive. This is going to be on one of my posts coming up in the next week or so. You'll see this and all the directions on it. But yeah, you wouldn't want to put glue on all those little petals in order to stick that down. So we are so happy the adhesive is back in the catalog. So that's what I cut out. Again, Hand Letter Pros not going to be available much longer. I think you should get it. It will go for anything and everything. So you got to love it. All right. So the next group I'm going to do is the Air Force. The Air Force is what I was in. Okay. I was staff support analysis specialist. So basically, I did all of the office work kind of stuff. I remember when I was in, we still had punch cards for the computers, where you put a punch card in the deal and you typed out the information and then you slid it into the computer so it could read it. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, yeah, I did that. Just saying. I also cut orders and did all that kind of stuff. So, you made friends with me if you wanted to go home at a decent time because I cut the orders. So, there you have it. So, I would call myself an essential employee, although I didn't see combat. Although I work with combat vets, and they're a whole different animal entirely, which they should be because they're seeing stuff we don't see. And I actually work with the Leathernecks of Wisconsin, fundraising and stuff for them. They're great. I mean, they're an awesome group of guys. I just love them. And when Veterans Day comes, I'll show you some pictures of the stuff that I did with them. But this is Memorial Day, and we're celebrating those that have passed. So this is the Air Force. Now, when I was looking at the camouflage stuff again, I noticed that they are doing pixelated camouflage now, so that's a new technical thing. But I think that would be so cool because, like, if you move it back and forth really fast like that, it is like it looks almost solid, doesn't it? So, going through the woods or the desert or wherever this is the ocean, wherever this camouflage is going to be used, I can see how that pixelated stuff would be very interesting. So anyway, um, we oh, there we go. Oh, look at that. It takes some of the shadows away. Oh yeah, I turned off all my lights. Do you love it? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so how do I get that look? Well, there might not be a new stamp set in the catalog which has little squares like that. Might or might not be. We don't know. But of course, it blew on the floor again. Sorry about that. Um, so what I took was this is because Linda Ewer was not here. Um, this was the bag from the garlic that I got at Sam's. So it's got squares in it, and I thought it'll be great to do the pixelated stuff on the camouflage for the card. So I just took a dauber and we're just gonna brush it across and then we're gonna make some camouflage spots. Okay, and then let me get the other one here. Well, all right, and plop that up. And then as you see, you can, make any kind of blotches you want. Okay, and put some up on the top here. All right, so that makes the camouflage, right? Right? Yeah, thinking out of the box here, thinking out of the box. So, I made the pixelated camouflage for the Air Force card, and then the support ribbon I put on there. The support ribbon die is done with the catalog. It's no longer available. So you like this ribbon? There's a tiny little ribbon in there as well as a heart and a couple of other little images. There you go. So if you like this card and the size of that ribbon, which I did, it's a great size. It's a perfect size. You should think about putting that in your cart and getting that before we're all sold out of that. We only have a couple of weeks until we're done with the main catalog. So make sure that you get the things that you want. I would highly recommend this ribbon if you do a lot for the service or for any organization actually that uses a ribbon. And then I would highly recommend these hand lettered pros because it's like I said, it's a great size. It's not too fussy. It's not too formal or it's not too silly. It's just a great font. Okay, last card that I have, or no, I guess it's not my last, but the last card that I made for the services. This is the Marine card. And we just got we've got a new set that's coming out. I love this set. I just love it. It is the world map dies and it belongs to Beautiful World, which I'm not going to show the set, but I'm just showing you the dies. So it has some worlds. You can see that there's a globe stand, there's some writing, some really cool accent pieces of feather. So an inkwell. So you can see it's kind of like an old-fashioned set, but see, I used the adhesive on the back of the dies again. Isn't that cool? And we've got our ribbon and then the Marines in the middle. This paper is the paper that belongs to that set. It is the coolest paper. There's some really groovy, like gold metallic stuff, and then there's some, well, you'll have to wait and see. But this is a sneak peek so that you can see it. You can see this card was super easy to do. Basically, cut it out and stick it on. I mean, I did not do the ribbon with the adhesive, but I could have. And then you just put it all together. So you could get a whole bunch of people cutting out all this stuff and just plopping it onto the card. Don't you love it? So um, it it's just really an easy card to do. Now, I did come up with like kind of an out of the box type of card, and this is done with the golf paper that we have in the occasions catalog right now. And then I did use the copper foil that we have, but I used that Stitch Star set, and this could be something that it looks a little bit more formal. So I was thinking like if you had a relative who passed, and there's a widow or somebody would appreciate this card if the one that passed was higher up in the chain of command. You never know, but it just looks so much more fancy, doesn't it? But it looks like a military card. Could be Christmas, could be military, could be whatever you want. But I'm just showing you out of the box different ways to use what we have available right now. So I just wanted to make sure that I really recognized our military for Memorial Day. I heard about, my husband told me about a golf thing that they did today with a bunch of pro basketball guy and golfer and stuff. They made $15 million today for charity. Now, I don't know if any of that money is going to our veterans, but $15 million I mean, it would set up my dream, which is to have a service dog facility here in Wisconsin. I mean, a real one, like a really fancy one where we do all the science, we work with our veterans. I like the holistic approach for our veterans. I know I'm on my soapbox right now, but can you imagine $15 million just for putting a bunch of big shots together to golf? I mean, that would mean so much to so many veterans to help with their PTSD by using a dog, which is a holistic approach, you know? I mean, but anyway, that's a dream that I have to I keep my eyeballs out and I talk to people all the time. So someday maybe that'll happen. Who knows? I'll talk to the right person or somebody will see this video and say, "Yes, Gloria, we want to do that." That could happen. But anyway, thank you for coming again and seeing me the second time around tonight. Wow. Wow. Let me show you all these cards all together so that you can make them now or later. Um, it's up to you, but remember those who have fallen, they served and they sacrificed, their families have sacrificed so that we can do something like these Facebook Lives. I don't know if anybody realizes that. We're doing these Facebook Lives because we're free to do that, and these men served and died in order for us to be able to do these Facebook Lives or to have a business like Stamping Up. Um, but here's the four armed forces. The Coast Guard is part of that. I did not do a card for the Coast Guard. It's not that I forgot them. It's just, you know, it's okay. We don't hear about the Coast Guard all that much. But here are the four main ones. I hope you like the cards. Here's the one special one, um, you know, that you can do just for something different. And then the poppies. Remember the poppy story and how it began. If you see a veteran who is selling a poppy, remember to give them your buck or $2 or three or five or 10, whatever it is, because it's going to help our veterans and it helps them with housing and medical and, all of the things that they need. And it's just a small way that you can support them. Other than that, you guys have a great holiday weekend. Thanks for coming back, and I'm glad I could do this again, kind of. But you have a great night, and I will see you next week.